I, 20-year-old female, and my husband, 24-year-old male, have been married just about 2 years. My brother-in-law and his wife, 26 years old, had their first baby 7 months ago. He's the cutest little baby, and I love being his auntie. But now that means we are getting asked when we're having a baby. I would always brush it off saying, "Oh, we'll see," or "I don't know, maybe later," but I wasn't sure if I was ready after what happened. For context, I had never been on birth control before, so I was still pretty new to it. I used the NuvaRing, so I would have it in for 3 weeks, then have my period. The doctor said it's normal not to bleed. When I put it in, we had 2 days before we got married. The doctor said it isn't 100% effective the first 24 to 72 hours, but there shouldn't be any issues. Well, we get married, go on our honeymoon, and come back ready for married life. A week after we come home, I took the birth control out, but I didn't bleed, which I was told is normal. I felt super nauseous and just thought that it was my period, so I kept it out. A few days into having it in, I still felt sick. So being concerned, I took a pregnancy test. Sure enough, I could see a very faint line. Panicking, I took it out and made an appointment with my doctor. That night, I started bleeding pretty badly. I told my husband and felt awful because I thought I just ended the life of our baby. He assured me that it's going to be okay and that we can go to the emergency room to see what's going on. I was just shy of 6 weeks. I asked my husband if we could keep it between us for the time being, and he said we could talk about it when I was ready. Well, I never was. Back to present day. Some months go by, and my brother and his wife, 24 years old, have their first. This led to my family asking me when I was going to get pregnant. I was getting fed up with it, so I ignored them. Finally, 2 days ago, we were at my in-laws for dinner, and I again was asked when we were going to have kids. I blurted out and said, well, after having a miscarriage, it's hard to want to get pregnant. My mother-in-law's face dropped, and she got upset that I hadn't said anything sooner and that she should have known when I was pregnant. I just walked out to the car, my husband following after me. We went home, and my husband said maybe we should have told her because she's had a miscarriage too. And I said, well, I didn't want to tell them because of how it happened. I just really need to know, am I the jerk? Should I have talked to my mother-in-law sooner? Now for an update. Wow, thank you for all the kind words, and thank you to those who shared their losses. Much love. So I've seen a few people ask questions about when I got married and if I've gone to therapy. So my husband and I met about a week after I turned 18. He was 21. We got married a month before I turned 19, and he was 22. Yes, it was young, but he was the best thing that happened to me. My parents were emotionally hurtful, so I got married faster than originally thought. But he's been the best. As of therapy, I had been seeing a therapist for the abuse for 8 months, then stopped. The miscarriage was almost 2 years ago, so about 6 months after I came to terms with it, I went to therapy again for grief and loss specifically. To add, I'm seeing a lot of people taking that I blurted means I yelled. I didn't yell, I said that assertively to make it clear I didn't want to talk about it anymore. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. The first thing that jumped out to me was the fact that you got married at 18 to a 22-year-old. You must have been together for at least a year before you got married, which made you 17 and 21. The fact that as soon as you got married, they started pestering for kids is a red flag. I don't know your husband, but going for a minor is a red flag to me. Men want someone young and naive that they can manipulate. It seems like that's what his family wants to do also. Comment 2. You have to wait a week before you can have unprotected intimacy when starting the NuvaRing. Your care provider gave you false information. The NuvaRing itself couldn't have caused the miscarriage. Having said that, everyone grieves differently, and if you weren't ready to share what happened to you, that's okay. Unfortunately, having children has become a trigger, and you should consider therapy to air out your concerns. All the best. Now for the update. A couple of days after that crazy dinner at my in-laws, I got a group text from them about a baby shower for my brother-in-law and his partner. Like, really? Again with the babies? It's like they just want to shove it down my throat. The text was an invite for everyone to chip in for a group gift for the new parents. I mean, how sweet of them, right? Not. Anyway, it just pushed the pressure for me to have a kid with my husband to the next level. My husband, being the sweet guy he is, suggested that we go to the shower together, to show support for his family and all that. I agreed, but man, I felt super anxious as the date got closer. The whole thing just freaked me out. So, on the day of the baby shower, my husband and I got there, and it was this cozy little venue, all decked out in pastel colors and balloons. You know the vibe, right? Sheesh. I swear, the excitement in the air about baby stuff made me feel so out of place. Like I was the odd one out in a room full of happy people. During the gift opening, my brother-in-law and his partner got this beautiful crib. Everyone cheered and clapped, and I just sat there wanting to disappear. Then, my mother-in-law had to go and make a comment about how it's only a matter of time before my husband and I have kids. I mean, really? Did she have to say that out loud in front of everyone? Ugh. Later on, while I was chatting with some other family members, I overheard her talking about how the family is waiting for the next generation to start. Like, why can't they just let it go? It's been 2 years. A week later, my sister-in-law called to chat about the shower. She was all excited about the family growing and mentioned how easy it's been for her to conceive. That just triggered me. I couldn't help but feel this wave of anger and sadness wash over me. When I didn't respond, she got all awkward and changed the subject. Not cool, sis. A few days after that, I overheard my mother-in-law talking to a family friend about how I need to get over my past. What the heck? Seriously? During a family gathering for Easter, I just knew I had to speak up. I was done being quiet and letting them walk all over me. So, I stood up during dinner and just laid it all out there. I spoke about my journey and my past. The room went completely silent. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. My mother-in-law looked shocked, but didn't interrupt. I talked about how the constant pressure from them had affected my relationship with my husband. After I was done, the atmosphere shifted a bit. A few family members offered their support, and it was nice to see. My mother-in-law, though? Oh, she was not having it. Her face was red with anger, but I just kept speaking my truth. Later that night, a family friend came up to me and admitted she had also faced struggles with her own kids. It felt good to connect with her. The next day, my mother-in-law called and demanded to meet up to discuss what happened at dinner. She was all high and mighty, wanting to take the moral high ground. At the meeting, she accused me of airing family drama in public. I mean, isn't that what I did at dinner? She basically stormed off, and I was left feeling pretty accomplished for standing my ground. Days passed, and the whispers about my little outburst at Easter spread through the family like crazy. My husband pulled me aside one day and suggested we take a break from family gatherings for a while. He could see how stressed I was and knew I needed a break. I agreed, and we decided to plan a quiet weekend getaway, just the two of us. A few weeks later, I got a message from my brother-in-law inviting me to a small family dinner to clear the air. I was like, oh great, here we go again. But I felt the need to confront the situation head-on, so I reluctantly agreed. At the dinner, family members expressed their hurt feelings over the Easter incident. They were upset about how I aired out my dirty laundry in front of everyone. But you know what? I stood firm. My feelings are valid, and they shouldn't be dismissed. The evening ended with my mother-in-law storming out again, but this time, I felt a sense of closure. I really felt like I had said what I needed to say. As the months went by, I noticed a shift in my husband's family. They seemed to back off a bit with the pressure about having kids. I mean, it was still there, but it was like they finally got the hint. My husband and I are doing great. He's been super supportive through all of this, and I'm just taking my time to heal. Things are still complicated, though. I mean, there are still some awkward family gatherings and the occasional pressure about having kids, but it's way less intense now. I guess my family-in-law is trying to respect my space, which is a good step forward. My husband and I are still figuring things out, and he's been my rock through all of this. So if something big happens, I'll definitely keep you all in the loop. Edit. The baby shower invitation was the last straw. I finally spoke up about my struggles, and it led to a healing conversation. Am I the idiot for telling my mom her forced blended family is a disaster waiting to happen? My mom has me, a 17-year-old female. She had me young, broke up with my dad, and he died when I was 3. After he died, his family supported me, and she was alone because her family wouldn't help us. She got married when I was 6 and had 2 of my half-siblings, a 10-year-old female and a 9-year-old male. Her marriage broke down while she was pregnant for the second time. I was never close to their dad, so we don't have contact with each other anymore, but he sees my 2 half-siblings. Then my mom got married again. Her husband, Dave, has an 11-year-old male son from a previous relationship for whom he has full custody. He and my mom also have 2 kids together, a 6-year-old male and a 5-year-old female. My mom and Dave's families are not involved in our lives. Dave was a foster child, so he never knew his family, and my mom's family still isn't over her having me when she was 19 and doesn't condone her having a child outside of marriage. My half-siblings from my mom's first marriage and I have extended family. They have their dad, whom they see 50% of the time, and his family. I have my paternal family. We each have contact with them, receive gifts from time to time, enjoy time with them, and have parties and dinners, etc. My half-siblings get a bunch of vacations every year. The other kids don't. My mom has chased after her ex and my family to include everyone, but they don't. My mom has threatened to keep my family from me if they don't include all half and step siblings. But I fought back against that and told her I want to be able to see my family without everyone else. She yelled and cursed at both her ex and my family for not being more inclusive. Mom talks about this a lot around the kids. She complains a lot and encourages them to complain and express their jealousy. She feeds into it, which makes everything worse. Dave and I have a very tense relationship too. I said no when he offered to adopt me, and I didn't advocate for his son to join in on some of the experiences I get with my extended family. Not to mention, I don't really talk about having parents. I'll just say I have a mom. For the last 2 or 3 months, my half-siblings have been fighting like crazy, and my stepbrother asked Dave to get divorced so it could be just the 2 of them. Mom was so shocked by how things turned out. She said something like, "Families don't fight like this. They love each other. How did we get so bad? How come there's no blending?" I told her it's because she's messing everything up by trying to force my family or her ex and his family to treat everyone like family when they're not. And bringing up how unfair and wrong it is around younger kids is going to feed the jealousy. I told her it won't get better until she realizes she can't control everyone and lets go of us all having very different families. Mom was shocked I was blaming her at all, and she told me if I were a better big sister to all 5 kids, I would make sure they're included, and I would be on her side about everything. And it angers her that I blame any of this mess on her. Am I the jerk? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the a-hole. You are exactly right. It's ridiculous of your mom to pressure you to try to somehow force your dad's family to include kids they are not in any way related to. Even if they were somehow obligated, it's not your job to enforce that. You're the child in this scenario. And yes, a big chunk of conflict among siblings appears to be your mom's fault. Comment 2. Not the a-hole. Taking 1 teenager is easy. Taking 6 kids, some who have to be watched closely because of their age, is tough. I sure wouldn't sign up to watch that many kids who I don't know well. Your mom is being unreasonable. Now, for the update. A couple days after my last update, I had to go to a birthday party for one of my younger half-sisters at my mom's house. I totally forgot it was happening, so it was a surprise for me. The party was just as chaotic and loud as I expected, with kids running around like they just downed a gallon of sugar. It was insane, but that's normal for family gatherings, especially when you have a ton of kids everywhere. So there I was, trying to not lose my mind with all the noise. And then, I overheard my mom talking to a family friend during the cake cutting. She was going off about how the recent family drama was just a phase and how the kids needed to be more united. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at that one. Like, okay, sure, we just all need to be one happy blended family, and everything will magically be fixed. She has been saying this for a while now, and no one is buying into it. Then my stepbrother Kyle tried to crack a joke about the whole situation, but it didn't land at all. It was just silent awkwardness all around. And honestly, I felt bad for him. At least he tried to lighten the mood. Of course, things got worse when one of the younger kids spilled juice all over the carpet. My mom freaked out and started yelling at all the kids. This sent everyone into tears and a frenzy of panic. I mean, it was supposed to be a fun party, not a scene from a horror movie. After the whole disaster, I decided to take a breather outside, and that's when I found Kyle's son, Ryan, sitting on the porch all by himself. He seemed really bummed out and started telling me how he felt stuck in the middle of all this family drama. I get that, but I just wanted to chill for a bit and not deal with the chaos, so I suggested we go inside. He shook his head and said he didn't want to deal with all the craziness. I totally understood him, so I didn't push it. A few days later, my mom decided to hold a family dinner to try and mend things. The dinner included me, my mom, Dave, Kyle, Ryan, and the two younger kids. The tension in the room was so thick. It was just so uncomfortable. My mom insisted on playing this family bonding game after dinner, which nobody wanted to do. I mean, come on. It was pretty clear that no one was in the mood for games. During the game, Ryan just refused to participate. He started expressing his frustration about how messed up the family dynamics were, which I totally get. Kyle jumped in and disagreed with him, saying he was being negative, and then the two of them started yelling at each other. I tried to step in and calm things down, but my mom interrupted and said it was all their fault. So, yeah, that was a fun dinner. After the dinner, I tried to explain to my mom why the kids felt the way they did, but she just dismissed my argument. She said I was making excuses for their behavior. Like, seriously? A week later, we had a holiday gathering for Thanksgiving, and I thought things might be better. Spoiler alert, they weren't. I arrived to find the atmosphere super awkward, with everyone avoiding eye contact. It was like we were all in an episode of a really bad soap opera. During dinner, my mom made this toast about family togetherness, but nobody really responded. It was just crickets. Kyle and Ryan were giving each other glares the whole time, which made things even more awkward. After dinner, all the kids retreated to the living room, and guess what? They started arguing again. My mom tried to intervene, but of course, her approach just made things worse. In the heat of the moment, Ryan revealed he was thinking about moving in with his biological dad. The room just went silent. All I could see was my mom's face dropping, and it was honestly kind of sad. Dave tried to downplay the whole thing, but Ryan was dead serious about his decision. I totally get why he would want to make that move. I don't know what's going to happen next. To answer a few questions, my mom and Dave have been married for several years now, and the two younger kids are quite small. They don't really understand the family issues, but they sense the tension. Ryan's biological dad isn't involved in his life at all, which makes his desire to move surprising. Am I the idiot for wanting to leave my mom's birthday early because of my self-absorbed sister-in-law? My big brother, his wife, family, aunts, uncles, and I all came to visit my mom for her birthday. We took time off and gathered for a week and a half, which was rare since we hadn't all been together in about 20 years. However, my brother's wife is getting on my nerves. She doesn't seem to enjoy being around us. When we make plans, she leaves hours before and returns late, making us wait and ruining the schedule. For example, yesterday, my younger brother, who lives here, took a day off to take us all swimming at 10:30 a.m. Everyone was ready, except my brother's wife. She knew we were leaving at 10:30, but said she'd be back quickly. By 1:30 p.m., she still wasn't back. I was upset we had to wait. I asked my mom why she couldn't meet us there, but she said it would make my brother feel bad, and they'd probably fight. So we waited. My brother, who planned the day, and I were both upset because it was getting late and the drive was long. She finally arrived at 2 p.m., and we had to change plans because the lake would close at 6 p.m., leaving us with little time. We ended up hanging out at a less than ideal park because there weren't any dog-friendly swimming areas nearby. My younger brother said if we were late the next day, he'd rather stay home. I agreed, and so did everyone else, but we couldn't say it in front of my sister-in-law. Today, We had plans for 4 p.m. as soon as my younger brother got off work. However, my sister-in-law is out again with her kids and will be late as usual. I couldn't handle it anymore and expressed my frustration to my mom and some family. We came from far for a rare trip where we could finally be together, and some of us aren't getting paid to be away. I don't get to see my family often and don't want my younger brother to feel excluded because he's fed up with making plans we're always late for. My mom said, "What do you want me to do? I can't control her." I acknowledged that, but pointed out she could have reminded her about our plans. My mom wants us to wait for my sister-in-law so she doesn't feel bad, but she doesn't seem to care about the rest of us wasting our vacation time. I told her I'd likely change my flight to leave early, like tomorrow, because I'm too angry to hide it. I know it isn't my mom's fault, and I feel bad for her since it's her birthday month, but no one seems to be having a good time just sitting at home or unable to explore the city like we wanted. I'm sick of my brother's wife, and I'm currently in my room crying because I don't want to be around them anymore. My younger brother is at work and asked me to make sure everyone would be ready, but I feel bad updating him that we're going to be late again, waiting on our sister-in-law. He's not going to want to come anymore, and I miss seeing all my brothers. I don't want one of them to stay home because of her, but I'm so angry right now. I'd rather stay in my room than say something and create drama. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. NTA, if your mom wants to wait, let her. But as for everyone else, I would not wait. You took time off to spend with family, not wait around for your sister-in-law. Did anyone stop to think she does not want to go? And are we hoping you are all gone by the time she gets back? Where is your brother in all of this? Why is nothing being said to him? Comment 2. Not the idiot. She is very disrespectful. Having said that, the key to a successful family, or even just group, vacation is to allocate free time to everyone and to also not force anyone to participate in anything. Activity X starts at Y time. If you're not there and haven't called, we are going to assume you're having fun elsewhere. Now for the update. I woke up feeling like I got hit by a truck. It was the day after the family birthday gathering, and I was so done with all this drama. As if I wasn't already exhausted, my mom had us scheduled for brunch at a local cafe to celebrate the final day of this family visit. Just a little more time with everyone before I got to go back to my peaceful life, away from all the chaos. So we agreed on a time for brunch, and I thought maybe, just maybe, we could actually be on time for once. But nope, the sister-in-law was late again. She rolled in like the world was waiting for her, and we were all just supposed to sit there and wait. This time, she delayed us so much that we had to push brunch back an hour. My younger brother was clearly annoyed, and I couldn't blame him. I told him not to worry. We could still enjoy the day, even if it meant a little less time at the amusement park. Then came the excuses, and of course, it was the sister-in-law making them. She blamed traffic. Seriously? This area? Traffic? I mean, you might as well say aliens abducted you while you were on your way, because that excuse would have been just as believable. We finally sat down for brunch, and let me tell you, the air was so tense. My poor mom tried to lighten the mood by sharing some funny childhood stories, but right when she got to the good stuff, the sister-in-law just had to make a sarcastic remark about how some people can't handle a little delay. Like, really? She had to ruin this whole day too? My younger brother looked like he wanted to sink into the ground. I was right there with him. I could literally feel the atmosphere getting heavier with every second. After brunch, we had to scramble to figure out what to do. The amusement park was a last-minute decision, but we were determined to make the most of it. The sister-in-law then pulled another one of her stunts by saying she didn't enjoy rides and wanted to sit out. It was like she was trying to win some kind of award for most inconvenient person ever. I suggested we all take a group photo on a roller coaster to capture the moment, something to remember this chaotic day by. But of course, the sister-in-law rolled her eyes and said she'd take the pictures. So there we were, all excited and screaming on the roller coaster, while the sister-in-law just stood there scrolling on her phone like she was at a library or something. After the ride, she showed us the pictures, and guess what? She only captured herself. Not a single picture of the rest of us. My younger brother tried to defend her, saying she was just being helpful. At this point, I was ready to lose it. Later, we regrouped for dinner at one of those family-friendly restaurants. You know the type. The sister-in-law showed up an hour late again, claiming she got lost this time. I could feel the tension in my mom's face. She suggested we order without her, and that sparked a whole heated discussion. The sister-in-law was all like, her late arrival was no big deal, and that we should just wait for her. My younger brother was silent the whole time, just sitting there like a lump. Dinner went on, but I couldn't shake off that feeling of frustration. So much for enjoying our last day together. After dinner, we went home, and I was done. I needed to talk to my younger brother, so we went to a private area. I confronted him about all this and said I was thinking of leaving early because I couldn't deal with his wife anymore. He seemed defensive and said he was tired of the drama and just wanted to keep the peace. I get it, but come on. I wanted to leave without causing more issues, and he begged me to stay for one more family gathering. I agreed, but I was over this whole thing. The next morning, I overheard an argument between him and the sister-in-law about their future plans. She wants to move to another state. This caught him by surprise. She accused him of being selfish for wanting to stay close to family. I couldn't just stand there and listen anymore, so I stepped in and suggested we all need to talk things out as a family. She dismissed my suggestion like it was trash. Then something surprising happened. My younger brother stood up for me, which shocked everyone. The room felt so tense. The sister-in-law stormed out, saying she'd handle things her way. After she left, the room was silent. You could feel the weight of everything. No one knew what to say. It was just me, my mom, and my older brother sitting there in silence. This family visit ended without any clear resolution, just a reminder of the growing divide within the family. I was just hoping to get out of there without any more issues, but it didn't seem like that would happen anytime soon. Edit. I appreciate the support and suggestions. Some have asked about my relationship with my brothers. My younger brother has always been close to me, but his wife has strained that bond. My older brother and I have a more distant relationship, but I care about him. The sister-in-law was more likable before marriage, but her behavior has changed. My mom struggles with her son's choices, but loves him. I genuinely hope things improve, but I'm hesitant to get too involved. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.